Join me today as we unbox the BattleTech Gothic Boxed Set. This is the Geek Cabal channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be unboxing the BattleTech Gothic Boxed Set. I picked this up at GenCon 2025, a couple of weeks ago now, and yeah, just now finally getting around to getting to it. I mentioned this in the video, the day one recap video, but Catalyst, their BattleTech items have code numbers on them. Like this is the beginner box here. It has the item number 35020XL. Hopefully you can see that on there. Get it where it's not. Okay. So, in an obvious kind of joke here, the item number on this is 40,000. So, yeah, not too subtle on that one. You'll note this is a very thick box here. Here's the beginner box for comparison. So, it's pretty hefty. This is $100 at retail. I would expect, like a lot of the other BattleTech stuff, you can probably find it for less than retail floating around out there once it comes to retail. Now, I don't know when that is going to be. I know it's soon-ish. But yeah. So, I could read the table of contents, or we can just open it up and take a look. So let's get to it here. So for those of you who are curious what the whole deal with BattleTech Gothic is, I did a video on that that'll be linked to in the description. Probably also like up top for those of you who are, I don't remember which format puts the links up here that I put in, and which one doesn't. So I think it's on your phone, it'll be up there. I really should know that, as many videos that I've filmed. But yeah, so let's get my plastic off here. But essentially, it's an alternate timeline where things have gone a little differently. Based on my glancing through of one of the things that's in this box, because it's a digital version available for free, I'll link to that as well. It looked like things up to roughly the Amorous coup were very similar, and then things take off for the weird. So, let's see what all we've got in here. So starting off with some maps, let's see. Okay, so it's 2025 date, so I think this is the new map. This side is called Trenches. So hopefully I can get this all here in the camera, since I can't see the camera at the moment. And then the other side is the Palace. See all this, yeah. And I'll get when I do my close-ups of everything at the end, I'll get some shots of this in there too. So we have record sheets for the abominations and the battle mechs. So the whole part of the deal is that there are giant monsters essentially, and called abominations. Now those do not have miniatures yet. There were some in the display case at GenCon, but and they have said if this does, I think they said that it was dependent on if this does well, that they'll almost definitely make at least a battle pack of the abominations, because they realize people definitely want them. So let me figure out how to cut into this without cutting anything. There we go. Alright, so we've got a lot of record sheets here, and yeah, these feel like they're the dry erase record sheets. So I think you can mark these up just by looking at them. So we have abomination record sheets. Looks like several different types of abominations. Gnats, werebeasts, devils, crickets, rampagers, tyrant, colossus, troll king, stone giant, and ravager. Then another set. These look like swarmers. It's probably their version of the infantry and hulks. We have more abomination record sheets. giant units, Titan units. Looks like a repeat of the one I already read through. And another one. Okay, so it looks like it's essentially 2 sets of the Abomination record sheets. 2 sets of all of them. And then we get into the battle mix, which the battle mix are going to look different, and we'll get close-ups of those too. But we have the ever trusty Urban Mech, and it looks like we've got 2 different variants of that. And these are regular BattleTech record sheets. Let's see. Then we have the Fire Starter, the Scorpion, which is a quad. I've never actually seen a record sheet for a quad. I didn't know that they actually had a different picture there, but it makes sense because there's 4 legs. The Phoenix Hawk, the Rifleman, the Marauder, the Atlas, and the King Crab. And it looks like it's a repeat, at least a second set. Yeah, so 2 sets, record sheets for all the mechs. We have a short story. Let's see, probably a little bit longer than the others. Yeah, this one's 32 pages. Most of these others have been like 20 pages-ish. So this is one of the only stories we're ever going to see set in this timeline. They have mentioned that there might be some show up in Shrapnel at some point. I do kind of hope that this is fleshed out a little bit. You know, I know a lot of people don't want this to become like the dominant storyline or anything, and I totally agree with that. But, you know, just fleshing out a little bit, maybe somewhere down the road, seeing another Lance pack of other mechs, you know, in this style, you know, something like that. You know, it'd be nice to revisit it occasionally, but there are going to be other alternate universe settings also. At the moment, the plan is one is going to be 50s sci-fi, at the moment titled Rockets and Ray Guns, and then the other is anime, which is where I assume they're going to seriously skirt the line with Harmony Gold. But we'll see. So yeah, Reclamation Arise. It's by Herbert Bees. I think it's Bees. I think it's his last name. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I probably am. Second, he's the I think he's the main developer for all this, if I remember correctly. I'll read you the little blurb here on the back. For hundreds of years, the 6 great realms of the human sphere have been locked in deadly stalemate as their empires wither and crumble. Rampant biotech monstrosities known as abominations, engineered to fight alongside their battle mech armies, have begun to inherit worlds lost to devastation and neglect. To many, these creatures, hybrids born of the mad science known as grafting, are mere animals, beasts built and bred only to fight and to be discarded when their usefulness ends. To others, they can be so much more. When mech warriors of the Ironclad Alliance return to one of their long-fallen worlds on a holy mission of reclamation, what rises to meet them will herald a new phase in the endless war. And let's see. There's a... Let's see a date so far. Okay, this takes place in the year 3007. And I believe this box set is set in 3015. So... apparently there are some decals here. These look like the kind from Piranha Graphics. Did not know these were part of the box set. It's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. You might not be able to see those. Those are BattleTech. These are water slide decals for the battle mechs. Huh. That's very cool. Then we have our 2D6, different universe, so they're black instead of the normal white ones. Then I believe these are parts to customize the Atlas, because the Atlas is customizable based on which faction it's going to be in. Yeah, it's the different heads and cloaks for each faction. So there should be 5 parts in here, 5 sets of parts, 1 for each of the houses. Which is why the Atlas has no head. because, and no back part there, it's customizable. And I'll get close-ups of these once we're done here. Here's the Phoenix Hawk. The Marauder. I really like the look of the Marauder. I mean, I like the look overall of these. The Rifleman. And this one should be the Fire Starter. The Scorpion. I did also get a couple of salvage boxes for this. Now I've already opened them up, but I don't know what order all this stuff's going to go up in editing, so I'm not going to mention what I got. Here's the King Crab. But I do kind of wish I would have grabbed a couple more of them. Hopefully they will wind up on the website at some point, because I do definitely want some more of some of these mechs. And the Urban Mech. Now, from what I understand, though, if you pull the Atlas in the salvage boxes, it's already been assigned one of the houses. So it will not come with the customizable parts. Check our cards here, see who our pilots are. Alright, so for the Urban Mech, we have Krista Griswold for the Ironclad Alliance, and Latoya Chai for the Knights of Avalon. So the Ironclad Alliance, I believe, is their version of House Steiner, and the Knights of Avalon are, or sorry, the Kingdom of Avalon is House Davian. We have John Waco for the Firestarter. He's a privateer. And then Chevalier Geraldine, the Collective of the Violet Crux. I believe that's the Free Worlds League version here. Candace Lau for the Phoenix Hawk for the Golden Unity, House Lau. And Mira Sebastine for the Unistar Ascendancy, that's Comstar. For the Scorpion, we have Patrick Kell, Privateer. Yeah, probably their version of the Kell Hounds. And then Isis Jansen, who is with the Draconic Imperium, House Kirita. For the Rifleman, we have Hakun Magnuson of the Draconic Imperium, and Tosk the Bloodless from a Marauder State. I don't know if it's the Marauder State or a Marauder State. For the Marauder, we have the Red Duchess, which I believe, I don't know a ton about pre-clan invasion, or honestly pre-Dark Age lore. I'm kind of lacking on that. It's going to change soon, but I believe the Red Duke was a character at some point back in the day, and so I assume the Red Duchess here is a play on that. Is a Marauder State. And then Vic Davis with the Collective of the Violet Crux, which again I think is House Merrick. And then Frederick Steiner of the Ironclad Alliance, so yeah, definitely House Steiner. That's for the Atlas. And Silas Takira for the Unistar Ascendancy, again Comstar. And then Hans Davian for the Kingdom of Avalon and the King Crab, House Davian. And Tomiyo Wong for the Golden Unity, so House Lau. Then we have some cards here, Alpha Strike cards. We have a Frayed Mech Warrior, so an abomination that pilots a battle mech, I guess. Nat on the back. A Werebeast. The Devil, the Cricket. These things don't have very long ranges. the Tyrant, the Rampager, the Colossus, Troll King, Stone Giant, the Ravager, and then this rules on the back for the Abominations. And then we have the Urban Mech, the Fire, the mechs. And then we also have battlefield support cards for the Abominations. So, a lot of cards here. And then we already talked about the mechs. So, we have the rule book, which is of an appreciable thickness. Let's see here. Yeah, 120 pages. So I believe the idea is for this to be a completely self-contained product. Like, it needs all of the relevant rules here. Now, this is probably still a slightly rules light version. Like, this is obviously this isn't the Total Warfare rules, but it's probably a lot of it in here. And yeah. So, a few pages introducing, explaining everything, then playing the game, and then, movement, combat, damage, heat, and other actions. That's the first 60 pages. Then, let's see here. A biotechnical readout for the Abominations, and then technical readout 3015 for the Battle Mechs. So, let's flip and check that out real quick, because that sounds interesting. Yeah, so it's, destroy the book here. It's, a biotechnical readouts, similar to the technical readouts that we get for the Battle Mechs, but these are for the Abominations. And then we do have technical readouts. Now they're in a different format because usually, well, hang on, I've got one set right over here. Usually the TRO book is in a landscape format because this is a technical readout, and so they got a whole lot of fluff over here and pictures, and so it's not as heavy as that. It's very light, single pages per mix it looks like. Yeah, but still gonna be interesting reading them, because this is a different timeline, so it's presumably some different takes on these things. But yeah, 120-page rulebook. And then we have the primer. Now, like I said, this is actually available for free to download, and again, I'll include the link for that. I apologize, I kept saying I was going to read through this and talk about it, but I really hate reading things online that length. Now that I have the physical one, once I read through it, I will go over it. But yeah, this is kind of explaining the universe and the different factions. So yeah, from what I did read of it, there's interesting stuff here. Now I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but like here's the Golden Unity, or the new House Lao. Yeah, they apparently decided that they were going to get high on their own supply, so to speak. From what I remember, they engaged in some of the old biomechanical engineering of themselves. And then we have our map. Let's see, yeah. So the inner sphere, it's the human sphere. This is the 3015 era. And then on the back, we have, I assume this is all meant to be the scale of things. Here are the Abominations in comparison to an atlas. So that's kind of cool. We have our modifiers table, the handy dandy cheat sheet. That once you know the rules, this is most of what you need right here. Then we have a bunch of punch-out stuff. Got a bunch of buildings here, and then some more stuff here on the back, and then the Abominations, and then also the battle mechs down here. So you'll double your number of battle mechs if you use these. They're not standees; they're just flat tokens. But still, got a lot of cardboard here. So, looks like there's quite a bit of stuff here. It's a little light on the battle mechs, and kind of wish there were physical monsters, you know, not gonna lie. But overall, I don't feel like I wasted my money on this or anything. So I am looking forward to trying to play this specifically at some point. Right now, I'm trying to get some Alpha Strike stuff going here locally. I talked to Jeff the other day. He's still down. Jimmy's a maybe. Need to get Chad on board, like get our schedules synced up. Also, I'm going to mention this in another video, but what I mentioned earlier as far as getting in on some of the older stuff, Jeff gave me some books the other day, and 3 of them are the first 3 BattleTech novels. They're the reprints under Catalyst, but it's the Warrior trilogy. So I've never read them. The earliest BattleTech book I've read is Ghost War, which is the start of the Dark Age timeline. As far as print age, not timeline age. Timeline age would be the founding of the Clans trilogy. But yeah, so looking forward to that and working my way through those books eventually too. So keep on the lookout for that. But yeah, we're going to do a close-up of all this stuff. It's going to be a lot to go through here because there's a lot of stuff in this box. And then we'll come back and have some final thoughts on all this. right, well, hopefully you got a good look at everything there. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot in this box. It's a heavy box. You get a lot of standees. The map is a double-sized map, I believe, because it's like 2 map sheets put together, and then it's double-sided. So I wouldn't recommend buying multiples of the box set for more maps. If this is like the Alpha Strike box, they might make just those components available later, because those of you saw are unboxing the Alpha Strike box and like the buildings and everything, you can now buy a set of just like the buildings and the counters and everything. So hopefully the same thing will happen here. Remains to be seen. Like I said, I do want to see mechs. I do want to see miniatures for the Abominations. And if this goes over, maybe like a reinforcement set somewhere down the road. I'd like 8 more battle mechs, 2 more lances. But it probably had to be a big thing, and I know some people are already kind of crapping on this. This is stopping such and such from coming out. Obviously, it's up to you if you want to believe Catalyst. I'm choosing to believe them. I don't think that makes me a fool, but I'm doing so. They said, I think the only thing that was delayed by this is the set of these Celestials for the Word of Blake. And, for me, it's six of one, half a dozen of another. I'm probably more likely to use this than I am the Celestials. I'm going to buy the Celestials because they look cool, and I don't even want to attempt to assemble them in metal. No offense, Ironman Metals. You guys do good work. But, yeah, no, it's... some of those look like they'd be a total nightmare. So, yeah. But yeah, so like I said, I hope to see it. Now, I don't want to see some endless stream of products, because I do absolutely agree that this needs to be relatively contained. I'm just saying, just from an aesthetic reason, just from an aesthetic view, it'd be nice if there was another set. It'd be nice if there's a little bit more fiction. Now, if somehow this becomes stupidly popular, I think the obvious next step is like in the main timeline, it's the clans, because Kerensky and the army did leave, and now you got all this weird bioengineering stuff. Like, come on, the clans are going to show back up as like weird animal hybrids for sure. So yeah, that's the obvious way that plot's going to go. But no, I want to see the other alternate timeline ideas first. Hopefully the mechs look really cool. I expect every single one in the anime series to be a land-air mech, no matter how illogical that is. I want the land-air mech Atlas, land-air mech King Crab, bring it on. I want it to be totally ridiculous, and I want it to be an absolute just like, screw you to Harmony Gold in the hardest way possible. But that's just me. So anyway, like I said, I like all this. Once I read through the little short story, I'll be doing a review on that. I'll be doing a review on the primer, and then if we actually do get to play this in the near future, I'll do a walkthrough of how that all worked out and everything. So yeah, that's about all I've got on this one though, folks. So let me know what you think down in the comments. If you don't like BattleTech Gothic or the concept or whatever, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh no, don't say anything. Like, go ahead. Just please try to be constructive in your criticisms. All I'm asking. And it's not going to do any good to call me stupid for liking it or anything at all like that. And I'm likewise going to extend the same courtesy. If you don't like it, you don't like it. No one has to like everything. People have different tastes. I respect the opinion that this is not the greatest move. I think it's a good move. Well, sorry. I think it has the potential to be a good move. Just to have a little bit of a spin on things, show that, for people that want the different aesthetic, and, yeah, but it remains to be seen if it will actually be popular. I don't want to take it away from the main universe. There's still plenty of other mechs that need to be made in plastic, as I mentioned in another video, and they're constantly coming up with new units, so it's a never-ending struggle. So yeah, I hope this didn't take away from other things, but again, if it did, it's a gamble. I've seen some people kind of think, oh, there were still a lot of them left at GenCon. There were some of them left at GenCon, but it's also a $100 box set. And people are kind of on the fence. And there's other reasons to be, that they couldn't have possibly known what was coming down the pike with other things, so timing might not be the greatest in the world. But yeah, overall, I'm willing to Well, I bought the ticket. I'm taking the ride here. So anyway, like I said, let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting would help us grow the channel. And I'd like to thank all of you who helped us get over the 500 subscriber mark here not all that long ago. At the rate we're going, we might be at 550 by the time this gets up, because I think Jim's social media blitz is really driving some new subscribers here. So we'll see how that continues. But yeah, also keep an eye out for the unboxings for the other things I picked up at GenCon, which I picked up 6 salvage boxes, 2 of which are BattleTech Gothic salvage boxes. The Battlefield support emplacements, and the 3rd Star League battle group. And once I figure out exactly how I'm going to go about it, I'm going to do a review of the TRO 3025, the updated, like, newfangled version. Because I want to do something other than just flipping through the pages here, you know. So I've got to go back, because I think I have done a review of one of those before, and to go back and see how I did that one, and see if I want to improve, change, whatever. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. So yeah, I don't know if it's the same statement over there in the Gothic universe, but in the mainline BattleTech, just remember, no guts, no galaxy.